Hey y'all, so I wanted to make a video um, about my illness and my condition because it's such a rare condition and it's taken the lives of so many moms. I feel like I need to do more to spread awareness about PPCM or peripartum cardiomyopathy. I don't know why I feel like I have to be quiet about it just because I feel like maybe I'm burdening people with my issues. But after finding out that one of my friends who had recently had a baby was fighting for her life, I felt completely helpless. And I'm not sure. I don't think she had PPCM, but just the fact that she had just had a new baby, that was the first thing that thought in my head, and it hit too close to home for me. So I'm going to tell my whole story, and then also, oh crap, I'm going to tell my story about what happened to me and how I led to being diagnosed. Things to look for as warning signs for PPCM, because it acts so quickly and it can take a new mom's life so quickly. And what should be a joyous occasion of having a new baby and bringing a new baby home can turn into tragedy so quickly. And in the blink of an eye with this illness, it's taking mommies too quickly, and it's taken too many mommies. And then also, there is a woman in my PPCM support group that is working to get this blood test called the BMP done in the third trimester when PPCM can be detected, and prevent this from taking the lives of any more moms. Okay. What I have is called peripartum cardiomyopathy. About 6 weeks after I had Laylan, I was having some shortness of breath. I couldn't lay down. I had this really weird cough. I have really, really mild allergy-induced asthma. So I had gone into urgent care in the middle of the night just to get a breathing treatment, to kind of get to where I felt like I wasn't suffocating. They did a chest x-ray and found that I had a couple of spots on my lungs, and they just told me that I had pneumonia, which would also show up pretty much the same way on a chest x-ray. Gave me antibiotics and sent me home. And so 3 days later, after the antibiotics should really be kicking in, I should be feeling better, I don't feel better. I still can't breathe, but I don't necessarily feel sick. So I went into my primary doctor and told him what was going on. I was like, oh, I don't feel sick. I just can't breathe. But I was told I had pneumonia and the antibiotics aren't working. I feel worse. He did no blood test. He did no x-rays. He basically looked me over and said, oh, well, the fact that you're not sick is kind of alarming. Come back in 6 weeks and we'll to make sure you don't have lung cancer. 6 weeks. No test. Nothing. He gave me a stronger antibiotic and sent me on my way. So after that, I think Chris had just gone back to work. He had maybe been back at work a day or two when all this started happening. And I was actually scheduled to go back to work that week. And a couple of days before, I was like, oh, I have pneumonia. I need to take a little bit of time before I can come back. So Chris's parents drove from Austin to Houston and picked up Laylan and me and brought us back to Austin so they could kind of help me with the baby, because I'm, sick and I'm weak and I can barely hold my tiny little infant. And so I saw my doctor on a Wednesday, and Friday night, I was so weak that I could not hold. I was afraid that I was going to drop her. I couldn't hold Laylan at all. I was so weak and I couldn't breathe, and I felt overall just awful. I don't remember a whole lot of what transpired before, but I just remember, Phyllis was trying to hand me Laylan so she could get some sleep, because, she was at home with a newborn and a sick mom. And she went to hand me Laylan, and I couldn't even pick up my hands to pick up my child, just to have her transferred to me. And at that point, I told Phyllis that I needed to go to the emergency room just because something wasn't right. And it turns out they were able to get me diagnosed, and I was diagnosed with peripartum cardiomyopathy, which whenever you get pregnant, your body pretty much doubles in blood volume, and it causes your heart to work a little bit harder to keep all that blood circulating. And for me, my heart couldn't handle all of it. And it caused my heart to get weak, which caused it to enlarge with all the extra fluid that was kind of being retained. So by the time I had gotten diagnosed and they were able to save my life, because there was no doubt about it that I almost died. My ejection fraction, which is the amount of blood volume that is pumped out with every pump of your heart, which for a normal person is supposed to be between 55 and 75%. When I was diagnosed, mine was less than 10%. So, yeah, there's no doubt about it that I would have died had I waited another day, or if I had gone on my PCP's recommendation of coming back in 6 weeks. I would not have been alive 6 weeks to come back for that chest x-ray. So, it's just one of those things. I had Leyland's 6-week checkup. I had my 6-week checkup to be released to go back to work. And I had seen an urgent care doctor and my regular doctor, and no one caught it. So, I mean, it just speaks to the fact that this is a very, very rare illness, and a lot of people don't know about it. And the purpose of, what I'm trying to do is to try to get the awareness spread about this illness, because it's catastrophic. I mean, there's no other way to put it. It's catastrophic. And 4 doctors in 1 week, and no one knew what was wrong with me. And there are so many other moms that are misdiagnosed or never diagnosed until after they die. And that's unacceptable, because this disease is completely preventable with a simple blood test that can be done in the 3rd trimester to catch PPCM. It's a blood test. And when you're in your 3rd trimester, you're already doing, weekly appointments, and you're doing bi-weekly and weekly appointments in your 3rd trimester. So there's no reason that this extra blood test shouldn't be ordered in to prevent a mom from dying after she has her baby. This illness can hit from immediately whenever you go into labor. Now, I can get you in the 3rd trimester before you even go into labor, up to 6 months postpartum. And a lot of women don't even make it home from the hospital with their brand new babies. They have a baby in ICU on life support. It can hit so quickly. So there is a mom in my PPCM group that is urging to get this blood test done as standard blood work that's already done. I mean, we test for gestational diabetes. Why can't we test for heart failure? I don't know. So the symptoms, for me, what my symptoms were, was just I felt like I was suffocating. So the rundown of symptoms list that I can remember off the top of my head are fatigue, a cough, an unexplained cough, and sometimes you could be spitting up stuff, what's called sputum. It's not necessarily mucus, but it's almost like water, just coughing up water, because the fluid is actually on your lungs and your body's trying to get it out. There's fatigue, there's the weakness, the coughing. The big one is not being able to lie down without choking. Because what happens whenever you have all this fluid that's sitting on your lungs, whenever you lay back, now the fluid is filling up your lungs and you feel like you're suffocating. So you'll have that urge to kind of sit up or prop yourself up with more pillows to keep you from feel like you're suffocating when you're lying flat. That is one of the biggest red flags with any heart failure at all, not just PPCM. That's a big red flag with congestive heart failure. So that's one thing that you should look out for. The other thing, let me see, swelling. Now, it was my first baby, and I did not know really what to expect postpartum. I know that my body had been through this major trauma, and things were going to get a little weird before I started healing. So a lot of moms don't pay attention to the swelling, because you just had a baby, you're going to be swollen. So that's one of the things that really gets overlooked. And the fatigue, you explain it because you just had a baby, it's a traumatic experience for your body. You've got a newborn who's crying all the time and not sleeping. So these things are just so easily written off because they are normal postpartum symptoms. So I know those are the biggest ones that I can think of right at the top of my head. And I know I'm forgetting a couple, but I know the lying flat and coughing up water is like a really, that's a sign that you should just get up and go to the emergency room right away. And from other moms in my PPCM group, I have seen where, they had gone to multiple doctors and were not diagnosed. And you know your body better than anyone else. Like, what's normal for you. And like whenever those red flags start raising and you're looking for an answer as to why you're feeling like you're suffocating, don't take no for an answer. If you feel like something is going on with your body and no one can tell you what's going on, do not settle for no. That's probably the biggest piece of advice I have there. And again, this illness is really rare. So I don't want to, the purpose of this video is not to cause hysteria or, like me be a hypochondriac. There's no reason to cause hypochondria over this, but knowledge is power. And I feel like as a survivor or someone that's currently battling PPCM, for me not to spread awareness is a complete injustice on my end. Because if this video could save one life, it was worth it. So I'm gonna leave a link to the petition or the fundraiser to get this BMP test added into the standard blood work that is done for pregnant women. If you want to be a part of that, if you want to donate, if you want to add a signature, you're more than welcome to do that. I actually encourage it. I think it would be great. But also share this video. Share this video in your mom group. Share this video on your personal page, because this illness is absolutely ridiculous and unnecessary. So let's save the mamas, y'all.